Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India NewsHour, India's voice to the world. I'm Amritpal Singh. Coming up in the next 1 hour, Syrian president announces ceasefire with Israel. US envoy says Israel and Syria have agreed for a truce. Gunfire and shelling reported around the city of Sweda. Congo and the M23 rebel group signed peace deal in Qatar. The deal aims to end fighting in eastern Congo. US President Donald Trump sues Wall Street Journal and Rupert Murdoch for $10 billion over the Epstein news story. India's electronics and IT minister says the country's first homegrown semiconductor chip to be launched by the end of 2025. Finally, a ceasefire in Syria, which came after US and Israel brokered it. However, the situation in Sweda remains volatile. The next report navigates through the situation in Syria in greater detail.
Syria's Islamist-led government struggled to implement a ceasefire in the predominantly Druze region of Sweda on Saturday. Syrian tribal fighters fired towards Druze factions' positions. Bedouin fighters roamed the streets in Syria's Sweda region as the news of the ceasefire came. Video images from Sweda showed groups of armed Bedouin fighters on the streets with large plumes of smoke rising from several scorched buildings and audible bursts of gunfire. Earlier in the day, Israel and Syria agreed to a ceasefire. The US envoy to Turkey said on Friday, after days of bloodshed in the predominantly Druze area that has killed over 300 people. Syrian leader Ahmed al-Shara called for complete cooperation with a ceasefire.
We thank the tribes for the heroic positions, but we call on them to fully commit to ceasing fire and complying with state orders. And everyone must understand that this moment requires unity of ranks and complete cooperation in order to overcome what we are all going through.
EU on Saturday welcomed a US-brokered ceasefire between Syria and Israel. European Union's diplomatic service said in a statement that now is the time for dialogue and for advancing a truly inclusive transition. Syria's transitional authorities, together with local authorities, bear the responsibility to protect all Syrians without distinction. Israel on Saturday dismissed a renewed pledge by Syria's interim president Ahmed al-Shara to protect minorities. Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar wrote on X that, bottom line, in al-Shara's Syria, it is very dangerous to be a member of a minority, Kurd, Druze, Alawite, or Christian. Violence in Syria's Sweda province had begun with clashes between Bedouin fighters and Druze factions before drawing in government security forces that were sent to the area by Damascus. Members of the Druze community in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights gathered near the fence bordering Syrian territories on Saturday to protest and stand in solidarity with people killed in Syria's Sweda. Bureau Report, DD India.
And in Central Africa, Congo and Rwanda-backed rebels on Saturday signed a declaration of principles, basically a peace deal, in Qatar to end decades-long fighting in eastern Congo. The declaration commits a permanent ceasefire and a comprehensive peace agreement within 1 month. The agreement follows a separate Congolese-Rwandan peace deal signed in Washington, D.C. last month. It is the first direct commitment by both Congo and the rebels since they seized 2 key cities in eastern Congo in a major advance.
The Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda-backed armed group M23 signed a ceasefire deal on Saturday to end fighting that has devastated the country's mineral-rich but conflict-torn east. The truce was agreed in a declaration of principle signed by the two sides after 3 months of talks in the Qatari capital, Doha, which follows a separate Congolese-Rwandan peace deal signed in Washington last month. The agreement says the parties commit to uphold their commitment to a permanent ceasefire, including refraining from hate propaganda and any attempt to seize by force new positions. The deal says the two sides had agreed to implement its terms by July 29th at the latest and to start direct negotiations towards a permanent agreement by August 8th. It also includes a roadmap for restoring state authority in eastern DRC. Congolese government spokesperson Patrick Moyaya said the deal took account of DRC's red lines, including the non-negotiable withdrawal of the M23 from the occupied areas, followed by the deployment of our institutions, including the National Armed Forces. He said a comprehensive peace agreement would follow in the coming days. Qatar's Minister of State at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mohammed bin Abdulaziz Al Khulaifi, and Donald Trump's Special Advisor for Africa and Middle East, Massad Boulous, welcomed the ceasefire deal.
This declaration not only represents a commitment to stop the violence, but also constitutes a pivotal step and a practical roadmap towards national reconciliation. It lays the groundwork for a new phase of partnership among the various components of society in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, including armed movements that have chosen to prioritize the greater national interest. It also opens the way for an effective role for the international community to support peace-building efforts and promote sustainable development in conflict-affected areas.
We are confident and we are hopeful. As indicated earlier this morning, I had very fruitful discussions this week with both Presidents Tshisekedi and President Kagame, and I really would like to thank them for their full commitment. They have both shown full commitment towards this peace, towards this process, towards ending this conflict peacefully, and towards the prosperity of the region.
The African Union hailed the New Deal as a significant development. In a statement, AU chairperson Mahmoud Ali Yusuf said, "This marks a major milestone in the ongoing efforts to achieve lasting peace, security and stability in eastern DRC and the wider Great Lakes region." Backed by neighboring Rwanda, the M23 is the most prominent of more than 100 armed groups fighting for control in Congo's mineral-rich east. It seized vast swaths of mineral-rich territory in eastern DRC and captured the key provincial capitals of Goma and Bukavu in a lightning offensive in January and February this year. Thousands were killed in this offensive. Rich in natural resources, especially lucrative minerals, eastern DRC has been racked by conflict for more than 3 decades, creating a humanitarian crisis and forcing hundreds of thousands of people from their homes, which the UN called one of the most protracted, complex, serious humanitarian crises on earth. Raghav Kumar Jha for DD India.
And Bangladesh's Islamist party Jamaat Islami supporters gathered in Dhaka before the upcoming elections. The party presented 7 demands to Mohammed Yunus administration for fair elections. More in this report.
Supporters of Bangladesh's Islamist party Jamaat Islami rallied in capital Dhaka to show their strength and also to press a 7-point demand. The party on Saturday placed a 7-point demand to the Yunus-led administration to ensure a free, fair and peaceful election. Their demand includes the trial of all mass killings, essential reforms and proclamation and implementation of a charter involving last year's mass uprising. In addition to this, they also demanded introduction of a proportional representation system in the election. Earlier, an interim government headed by Mohammed Yunus has set the date for the next general election between the end of 2025 and the first half of 2026. However, his administration did not rule out a possibility of polls in February as strongly demanded by the Bangladesh Nationalist Party and its allies. Yunus-led interim unelected government has been leading the politically turbulent nation since student-led unrest in 2024, which led to the ousting of the then Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Earlier on July 16th, on Wednesday, at least 4 people were killed and over 50 others injured in clashes between police and activists of the Awami League and its associate bodies over a rally of the National Citizen Party in the district. Besides political violence, Bangladesh religious minorities too have voiced concern over targeted attacks on religious minorities. Recently, a rights group in Bangladesh accused the government on Thursday of overlooking more than 2,000 crimes committed against religious minorities in the country and excluding them from reforms. Bureau Report, DD India.
In a dramatic legal move, Donald Trump has filed a $10 billion defamation lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal's parent company. Dow Jones, over allegations he sent a lewd birthday message to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Donald Trump denies the claims. He says the letter that they've published is fake, while the Justice Department scrutinizes Epstein's related documents. DD India's Mihir Maihuri has the details.
Donald Trump has filed a $10 billion lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal's parent company, Dow Jones, its owner, Rupert Murdoch, and others, over claims of sexually suggestive birthday message sent to Jeffrey Epstein. In the defamation suit, Trump accuses the publication of slander and libel, alleging that Wall Street Journal's article falsely claimed he sent a lewd greeting to Epstein in 2003, just 3 years before the disgraced financier was first charged with sex crimes. Trump has flatly denied the allegation, calling the article fake and claiming the report was deliberately crafted to damage his reputation and political standing. The lawsuit comes as the US Justice Department moves to unseal grand jury materials related to Epstein amid growing backlash over how the Trump administration handled the case during his presidency. Responding to the lawsuit, a spokesperson for Dow Jones said, "We have full confidence in the rigor and accuracy of our reporting and will vigorously defend against any lawsuit." To win, Trump must prove that the journal acted with actual malice, either knowingly publishing false information or showing reckless disregard for the truth. As political tensions escalate and conspiracy theories continue to swirl, Trump's lawsuit threatens to pull major media figures, government institutions, and the president himself into a high-stakes legal battle, one with enormous financial and political consequences. Mihir Makhuri for DD India.
And still to come up on DD India NewsHour, residents of the Ukrainian Black Sea port city of Odessa survey the damage after Russian forces stage a mass drone attack on Saturday. South Korea's jailed ex-president Yoon Suk Yeol indicted on additional charges.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Amritpal Singh. As the Russia-Ukraine conflict rages on, residents of the Ukrainian Black Sea port city of Odessa surveyed the damage after Russian forces staged a mass drone attack early on Saturday. This led to a blaze at least one multi-story apartment building and killing one resident. Odessa mayor earlier said that at least 20 drones had converged on the city. Zelensky said that the attack on Odessa injured 6 people, including a child. Russia launched over 30 missiles and 300 drones during its overnight assault that affected 10 regions of the country. In Los Angeles, 31 people were injured when an unknown vehicle drove into a crowd outside a Hollywood nightclub early on Saturday. The Los Angeles Fire Department said that more than 100 firefighters responded to the scene in East Hollywood, assisting 3 patients in critical condition, 6 in serious condition, and 19 listed as fair. The incident took place outside the music venue, the Vermont, near the intersection of Santa Monica Boulevard and Vermont Avenue in East Los Angeles. The preliminary investigations pointed to a driver losing consciousness and ramming a large crowd outside the nightclub.
Right now we have a total of approximately 31 patients. So all of those patients are in the process of being treated, transported, and evaluated. So we have a total of 7 immediates, 6 delayed, and we have 19 people who are considered minor. So out of those, the majority of them have been transported to surrounding hospitals. We are still waiting on a couple that are still being evaluated by our firefighters and paramedics on scene.
And at least 27 people died after a tourist boat capsized in a stormy weather in Vietnam's Halong Bay on Saturday. The vessel was carrying around 53 people when it capsized in the UNESCO World Heritage Site because of sudden heavy rain. Border guards rescued 12 people and recovered 18 bodies. Most of those on board were families visiting the capital Hanoi, with more than 20 children among passengers. Rescue efforts were set to continue into the night to find dozens still missing. Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh sent his condolences to the families of the deceased and called on the Defense and Public Security Ministries to conduct urgent search and rescue operations. Over 200 Venezuelans who were deported from the United States on allegations of gang membership earlier this year and detained in El Salvador jail arrived home to Caracas on Friday. The release was part of a coordinated prisoner exchange with 10 Americans held in Venezuela returning to the U.S., which ended a month-long ordeal decried by the rights groups of Venezuela, and Venezuela government said that 252 Venezuelans held in El Salvador had been freed. President Nicolas Maduro celebrated the arrival of the 2 airplanes carrying them near Caracas on Friday evening. The Venezuelans were sent to El Salvador from the U.S. in March excuse me, after U.S. President Trump invoked the 1798 Alien Enemies Act to swiftly deport alleged members of the Tren de Aragua gang without going through normal immigration procedures. They were held in El Salvador's notorious Quecot maximum security prison. Venezuelan President Maduro thanked U.S. President Donald Trump for making it happen. In a significant development on the European asylum policy, Germany and 5 European nations have agreed to tighten asylum rules across the EU, including making deportations to Afghanistan and Syria a standard practice. The decision was reached during a high-level meeting led by German Interior Minister Alexander Dobrindt with his European counterparts from France, Poland, Austria and the Czech Republic and Denmark. The new goals, pending Brussels approval, also propose the removal of legislative barriers to transfer rejected asylum seekers to secure centers outside the EU to conduct asylum procedures in third countries.
Wir wollen drittens die Rückkehr We want to significantly strengthen deportation regulations. This includes making it possible for so-called return hubs to be created, including in third countries, where people who are required to leave the country can also be accommodated outside of Europe.
Europas untergebracht werden können.
And Brazilian President Lula da Silva has signaled that he may seek re-election in 2026, saying he would run if his health and motivation remain strong. Lula, who is 78 years old, said he would make the final decision after speaking with his conscience and vowed not to let a handful of lunatics return to power, a clear reference to the supporters of former President Jair Bolsonaro. His remarks came just hours after Brazil's federal police raided Bolsonaro's home and party headquarters. Brazil is due to hold its next general election in 2026. The G20 finance ministers and central bank governors meeting concluded in South Africa, with leaders gathered to discuss pressing global economic issues. DD India's correspondent Nazni Ismail caught up with the chief economic advisor to the government of India. There, take a listen.
Amid global economic uncertainty, India's voice continues to rise with quiet confidence. I caught up with Chief Economic Advisor to the Government of India, Dr. Venkatraman Ananda Nageshwaran, who's helping shape not just India's fiscal path, but conversations across the G20.
India continues to articulate some of the issues that are common to the developing world and also obviously for India as well. One is how will we assimilate and integrate technology while creating jobs such as artificial intelligence, etc. I think the way in which global South countries can collaborate is to pool their human resources and look at creating R&D, because supply chain vulnerabilities arise from dependence on single sources, and obviously the answer to that is to do what today's dominant supply chain countries have done, which is to invest in technology, invest in R&D, invest in human resources. And if individual countries are somewhat fiscally strapped, it is important to tap into the private sector, but also collaborate and pool the intellectual and human resources to be able to create supply chain resilience. This not only involves understanding each country's strengths in terms of physical resource endowments, etc., but also human resource endowments. And these are the areas through which I think South Africa and India can collaborate.
Two nations, one conversation. India's economic wisdom meets South Africa's warm diplomacy. That was Dr. Nageshwaran, and I'm Nazneen for DD India, connecting continents through conversation.
South Korea's jailed ex-president Yoon Suk-yeol was indicted on additional charges as a special prosecutor continues investigating him for his short-lived declaration of martial law in December last year. The new charges include obstruction of the exercise of others' rights by abuse of authority, ordering the deletion of records, and blocking the execution of arrest warrants. Yoon has been on trial on charges of insecuration, which is punishable by death or life imprisonment, are facing additional charges since the special prosecutor was appointed in June to take over the cases against him. The impeached and deposed former leader has been jailed at the Seoul Detention Center since this month, and a court earlier this week rejected his request to be freed from detention. At least 21 people were killed and nearly 30 injured when a coach overturned in southern Iran on Saturday. The accident occurred around 11 a.m. local time. It took place near Kavar, which is a town about 1,000 kilometers from capital Tehran. Rescue forces were immediately brought to the scene. The cause of the accident remains unclear. Rescue operations are still underway in south of Shiraz in the Fars province of Iran. Indian Navy's indigenously designed and constructed survey vessel INS Sandhyaik's maiden visit to Port Klang in Malaysia concluded on Saturday. This visit aims to strengthen the hydrographic cooperation and technical exchanges between India and Malaysia. The maiden visit of the ship to Port Klang also strengthened institutional ties via concerted cooperation like sharing of survey technologies and sustained hydrographic support engagements. This visit demonstrates India's growing role in regional hydrographic capacity building under the Indian Naval Hydrographic Department and the National Hydrographic Office framework. Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. In Japan, a symbolic demonstration unfolded in Tokyo as dozens of bags of mildly radioactive soil collected from near Fukushima nuclear plant were delivered to the Prime Minister's office. The move is aimed at proving that the soil is safe for reuse, as the government faces public skepticism over plans to repurpose decontaminated soil. Cuba has moved the age limit for presidential candidates, a reform approved by its National Assembly. Previously, the 2019 Constitution capped the age at 60 for the first-time contenders, but that restriction has now been eliminated. However, the 5-year term limit, renewable once, and the maximum candidacy age of 35 remain in place. Some of the oldest ice ever recovered from Antarctica arrived in the United Kingdom for analysis, more than 1 million years after it captured some of the Earth's atmosphere at that time. The ice core, drilled from the depth of 2,800 meters in East Antarctic Peninsula, is expected to hold a climate record stretching back over 1.5 million years. Surfers have returned to the famous iceback wave in Munich after a 2-month closure following the tragic drowning of a 33-year-old woman. The site was temporarily closed for a safety review. The decision to reopen came after extensive implementation of new safety guidelines to prevent further accidents. Still to come up on DD India NewsHour, a discussion with a special guest on the show on the Trump-Epstein controversy. You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Amritpal Singh. Let's quickly take a look at the headlines we're tracking at this hour. Syrian president announces ceasefire. U.S. envoy says Israel and Syria have agreed for a truce. Gunfire and shelling reported around the city of Sweda. Congo and M23 rebel group sign a peace deal in Qatar. The deal aims to end fighting in eastern Congo. U.S. President Donald Trump sues Wall Street Journal and Rupert Murdoch for $10 billion over the Epstein news story. So Donald Trump has sued the Wall Street Journal. He has sued the parent company's owner, Rupert Murdoch, 2 reporters along with it. He had threatened to sue them if they published any story, and they went ahead and did, and he's finally sued them for $10 billion. What does it mean? What could be the implications? Why is Donald Trump so sure that that letter, what would be his points in the court? And if he loses the case in the court, where could his political standing go? To answer all that, to talk about all that, I'm joined by Dr. Rajan Kumar from the School of International Studies from the Jawaharlal Nehru University. He joins me over the video link. Thank you, Dr. Kumar, for being on the show. First of all, Trump had threatened to go to court, sue them. They went ahead with the story. Trump has gone ahead with suing them. Both sides are standing there, holding their ground. What looks likely? I mean, is this letter or that birthday card or whatever it is it authentic? What will Trump go to court with? And what is he saying that this is, on what exact point is he saying that this is false? Okay, I seem to have lost the video link with Dr. Rajan Kumar. We'll try and connect back to Dr. Rajan Kumar once we get the video link through. So basically, this is the story about Donald Trump went to a federal court, to a court in Florida against the Wall Street Journal. Wall Street Journal had published a letter or a birthday card that Donald Trump had sent Jeffrey Epstein back in 2003, which was objectionable, which is explicitly sexual. Donald Trump claims that this is false. He did not send it, but the paper went ahead by publishing it. So they are saying we are sticking by its story. Dr. Rajan Kumar is back. Dr. Rajan Kumar, your views, or what is your take on, by looking at what is already in public domain, about the authenticity of this?
I think, this is very interesting, and that in a way it shows the dark underbelly of American politics, which has, corruption, money, crime, sex now is coming to the media now. So what it shows essentially that how corrupt a system can be, where there is a shadowy network which is operating, and it has massive control over a large number of people, and it includes politicians, it includes filmmakers, it includes some of the scientists, it also includes some of the foreign dignitaries. And the way, the kind of influence that this kind of cabal, elite, sometimes they're being called a pedophile cabal kind of thing. Because Epstein is known as a sexual predator, and he's a sexual offender. He was charged, as you know, and he was prosecuted, and then he committed suicide in 2019 while he was in a prison in New York. His network was very, very powerful. He was connected with politicians in America. He was connected with Hollywood stars. He was connected with some of the scientists also. And there are also charges, because he was Jewish. So there are also charges made by Tucker Carlson, the former Fox News reporter, that he had links with Israel also. So these are the kind of charges.
No, there is no question on Epstein. He's a convicted offender. He was, he used to organize these orgies where he used to get underage women and, even boys. But there's no question on Epstein. But Donald Trump says that I did not send him any card. WSJ says, no, we have credible proof that it is yours, it's sent by you. We've taken this out of some compilation done by his former girlfriend Maxwell, Epstein's girlfriend Maxwell. So, at the face of it, what does it look like? Because Donald Trump, if he's gone to court, he surely has something, right? And if WSJ is sticking to its claim and going ahead and publishing it, despite knowing what, this is Donald Trump, the President of the United States, and the kind of president that he is, unlike, other presidents. So, both sides seem to be sticking to their guns. What does it look like? Could this be authentic?
I think there is a very clear political message coming out of it. The reason why it has become interesting, because this Wall Street Journal, as you know, is owned by Rupert Murdoch, and Murdoch is known Republican. He supported, and he is also the owner of Fox News, the most important right-wing media channel of United States. And the fact that despite warnings, this was published by a kind of a Republican supporter, so that shows some kind of rift that was emerging within the MAGA and the other Republicans. And he is known, usually he's known to have good ties with Rupert Murdoch, and they had a good relationship. But off and on, they also had bad phases. For instance, in 2020, Murdoch was not in good terms with President Trump. So, I think because it has come from Wall Street Journal, where the warning was given and the warning was not heeded. So either it says two things: either the journal reported despite warning of Murdoch, or probably the journal decided to go ahead with it because there's a large number of followers in America, even within the MAGA camp, who wanted this file to be leaked, wanted this file to come out in public. All those public, some of the reports are already there, that who are the people who have been named, etc. But the client list, what people are looking for there is the client list, because people in America, the way it was campaigned before the election, so they think that there's a client list, and client list involves Democratic Party leaders. It involves a Republican Party. It also involves a large number of people, very powerful people, primarily from United States, but also from some other countries. So the people are looking for the release and the public release of that file, and that's why there was a MAGA pressure building up. It was mounting for quite some time that Trump should release that file.
So you're saying that even, I mean, it could the alleged client list could have Republican high-profile leaders in its list, but the MAGA influencers within the Republicans are putting pressure because they want the files to come up. They see it as some kind of a cover-up, right?
Absolutely, because that file ostensibly has names of Clintons also, both Bill Clinton,
Hillary Clinton, yes.
And there are other names also from the Democratic Party. So what they are thinking, especially the right-wing people who are not probably, who still think that politics is a fair game. So a lot of people are thinking that American politics has been controlled by a small cabal, which essentially are, the corrupt rich people and sexual offenders also. So they want that list to be out. And because during the campaign, Trump had promised that he'll release the file. So now the pressure is mounting up from the MAGA camp that why is it not releasing? And also because the letter has been published by Wall Street Journal, Trump's letter, alleged letter, because we don't really know whether he is. Trump has denied it as fake and malicious, defamatory, etc. But it's very likely that this letter might have been written by Trump. But at this point, when it goes to court, it will be extremely difficult to prove whether he wrote that or not. And also,
it will be extremely difficult to probe. You saying?
Yeah.
To prove whether Donald Trump written. No, why not? If he signed, you can do a handwriting analysis and find it out.
But even if you sign, but if you deny later that I didn't sign it, it's a fake signature. So
you're saying you can use the legally, the legal tricks to get out of it, and that's why Donald Trump's gone to court.
Ultimately, the way I see the case progressing, ultimately there'll be some kind of deal between the two parties, the two legal parties here, Murdoch team and Trump team, and both are very rich. Murdoch, has an empire of roughly $24 billion. And President Trump is president, apart from being a billionaire. So ultimately, to us, after some time, first the court will take long time. It will not directly impact the position of President Trump. But yes, some morality that he claims from the right-wing side, that will kind of, the go away because of this kind of, it's a kind of political uproar which is emerging in the United States. And at the moment, one good thing that Trump has done, that he has asked his attorney to request the court to release the file. But also please remember that the court will not release the file in entirety, because there are private conversations involved which may not have, which may not be necessary for the case. So it's not necessary that all the client lists that people are expecting would be released. It's going to be a long drawn court battle at several stages.
I got that. All right. So, Dr. Rajan Kumar, so, the legal team of Donald Trump's advised him that, we can brazen it through, and we can brazen it. We can use legal loopholes to get out of it. And tomorrow, later in the day, if a deal is signed between Murdoch and or Murdoch camp and the Trump he comes out of it clean. But the longer it drags, what does it mean for his political standing, for his political approval ratings?
Trump is already on his second term.
So he doesn't care?
He cares a bit because he also wants to come for the third time, although the Constitution of America does not allow. So he'll have to bring out major amendments before he can. But he has not said that he will not come. But he would be happy to retain the MAGA followers, because even if he pursues policy which are very erratic, be it his policy on tariff, be it his foreign policy, etc. So he wants that camp to remain, and that camp probably will dwindle, the support base will dwindle if he does not come out clean on the Epstein file. So that's his main concern, and that's the reason why he requested his attorney to request the court to release the file.
But his own FBI and Department of Justice earlier, submitted a memo which said there is no clients list. So why is he doing flip-flop? I mean, doesn't it show him in poor light?
I think, initially he kind of balked. He was not interested in releasing file at all, President Trump. He made a statement like, this is boring, this is, being created, the hoax created by Democratic and left lunatic, etc. So that's the kind of term he did, but ultimately not because of the Democratic Party pressure, but primarily because of his own supporters asking for the release of file, like Tucker Carlson, a lot of podcasters, who supported Trump earlier. So they wanted this file to be released, thinking that President Trump is probably not the part of the list, which includes a large number of names. But somehow there is a sense that his name also might figure out. So do not expect, even if there is a release, do not expect the entire file to be released. And Department of Justice will do everything to hide in case President Trump's name figures in that client list. They have denied having a client list, but yes, there are conversations. You do not call it necessarily client, but there are conversations. There are exchanges. There are, also let me tell you that Epstein used to maintain CDs, and very secretly in his New York mansion, he used to have recordings of people who went to his
parties,
place to party. So there are a lot of things which need to come out. I'm not sure whether this will ever come out, but this is the controversy which is impacting President Trump a lot at this moment.
But the longer it drags, you believe that it wouldn't affect Donald Trump's ratings?
President Trump's rating is the lowest, let me tell you, already. So how far he can go down, we don't really know.
Okay.
So, but yes, the only good thing about President Trump is that he has a very hardcore supporter in the form of what you call MAGA. And MAGA is not necessarily the support of Republicans. Republicans might be divided, but he has people...
Yeah, but MAGA is essentially far right. I mean, the southern Christian belt is where his support base comes from. So they are the conservatives. So as more muck comes out, allegations come out, doesn't he risk antagonizing them? Because the MAGA is already angry with him and his administration, MAGA influencers, saying that when he refused, or FBI or the Department of Justice refused that there was no client list, they came out saying that look, he's again, now he's president, so he's one of them, and he's trying to do a cover-up.
I think politics in America, I can tell you, is not necessarily decided by the morality. President Trump did not have a very clean image even when he was fighting for the first time. But what he was trying to bring out in politics in America, as you rightly pointed out, Christianity, political conservatism, anti-woke kind of politics, anti-left, what he calls it, and also try to unite what you call white core Christian population distributed in US and also in some other country. So he is concerned about that base because if that base disappears, then he might be in trouble. He might be in trouble because there are a lot of Republicans who are not happy with his policies, and the rift which is already there because Elon Musk has been alienated, and Tucker Carlson is already speaking against this Trump because of invasion on Iran, etc. So there are a lot of people who are disappointed, and also his promises on foreign policy, for instance, on Russia, Ukraine, and no involvement in other places. I think he has backtracked on those campaign promises. So people in Republican supporters are not very happy with his policy, but he has retained the MAGA support, which is roughly 20% of the population at this moment. So because of that support, he feels very confident that he can pursue with his very even weird policies in United States. Yeah.
All right, it'll be very interesting to see where it goes and what it does to Donald Trump's political future, because as you say that he's got ambitions to be president again. though right now, as the Constitution stands, he cannot be. But this is Donald Trump. You never know what he could do. So we leave it there, Dr. Rajan Kumar. Thank you very much for being on the show and giving a perspective on this. Thank you. And let's now take a look at other stories making news. Leaders of the India Alliance held a virtual meeting on Saturday as preparations intensify ahead of the upcoming monsoon session of Parliament. A total of 24 parties from the group participated in the meeting to discuss collective strategy during the session. The Election Commission of India announced significant progress in Bihar's special intensive revision of electoral roll. Over 7 crore 48 lakh enumeration forms have been collected so far, accounting for 95.92% of the total target. The poll body noted that almost 4% of the election remains to submit their forms, with 6 more days still left. Justice Yashwant Verma of the Allahabad High Court has moved to the Supreme Court challenging in-house inquiry committee's report. Justice Verma has contended that the committee denied him a fair opportunity to respond before arriving at its findings, raising concerns over due process within the judiciary's internal mechanisms. India's Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan visited the Defence Services Staff College at Wellington in Tamil Nadu. During his address, General Chauhan talked about operational dynamics of Operation Sindoor, stressing the importance of seamless coordination between the Army, Navy and Air Force in executing complex missions. Heavy rains continue to lash multiple states across India, triggering floods, submerging riversides and severely disrupting daily life. The Indian Meteorological Department has forecast continued rainfall in many parts of the country. In the national capital, the IMD has predicted cloudy sky for the next 1 week with possibility of rain spells. And still to come up on DD India NewsHour, India's first bullet train to run by August 2027. India clinches the historic bronze at the Asian Men's Under-16 Volleyball Championship.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Johar. Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geo.
You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Amritpal Singh. Let's take a look at other stories. India's Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav, along with Union Minister of Coal and Mines Kishan Reddy, on Saturday inspected the progress of the railway wagon manufacturing unit at Kazipet in Telangana. Minister Vaishnav described the establishment of the unit as a proud moment for Warangal and a significant milestone for India's economic growth. He expressed hope that civil construction work at the Kazipet unit will be completed by December this year, with manufacturing operations slated to begin next year. The facility will produce railway engines, bogies and metro trains, positioning it as one of the largest railway manufacturing units in the country. And Ashwini Vaishnav also announced that India's first bullet train is set to commence operations by August or September 2027. Speaking at the 14th convocation of IIT Hyderabad, the minister highlighted India's rapid progress under Make in India initiative, positioning the country as a global leader in manufacturing and technology.
First bullet train project is also rapidly progressing. We should see a train running, bullet train running in 2027. It's a huge change which has happened because of Make in India program of our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji. And that builds the foundation for an industry which provides employment, which provides design opportunities, and which builds a totally new ecosystem for.
The minister also emphasized that India will soon be among the top 5 semiconductor nations in the world, underscoring India's rapid progress in chip manufacturing and tech infrastructure development.
First made in India chip, manufactured in India chip on a commercial scale, will be manufactured in this year 2025. The way we have created the talent pool, the way we are promoting the design, and the way we are going deeper into the capital equipment and the materials required for semiconductors, India will become one of the top 5 semiconductor nations in the world.
A youth spiritual summit aimed at fostering a collective national resolve against drug abuse is being held in India's Varanasi. Themed Drug-Free Youth for Viksit Bharat, the 2-day event aims to free youth from addiction and empower nation building. The summit brought together more than 600 participants representing 122 spiritual and socio-cultural organizations from all over the country. Speaking at the event, Minister Dr. Mandviya stressed that India can become developed only if the youth stay away from drugs as well as mobile and reels addiction. The summit will conclude on July 20th with the release of the Kashi Declaration.
प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कई बार अपनी मन की बात में और सार्वजनिक कार्यक्रम में देश के युवा एडिक्शन से दूर रहे, नशा मुक्त हो, उसके लिए बात कही है कि हम सब लोग सामूहिक तौर पर एक संकल्प करें, एक कार्ययोजना बनाएं, ये कार्ययोजना 5 साल तक इंप्लीमेंट करके हम विकसित भारत में युवाओं को नशा मुक्त होके अपना कंट्रीब्यूशन करने के लिए प्रेरित करें.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi also shared an article that highlights how Yuva Spiritual Summit marks a major step in building a drug-free India. Responding to a post by the Union Minister Mansukh Mandviya, he's the Health Minister, on X, Prime Minister said, and I quote, Union Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandviya elaborates on how the Yuva Spiritual Summit marks a major step in building a drug-free India. Have a read, unquote. India's Union Minister for Commerce and Industry, Piyush Goyal, while addressing the session Creating Global Impact Towards Viksit Bharat, organized by ASSOCHAM, emphasized that India will enter into international trade agreements only if they serve the country's interests. The minister said that the government will never allow national interests to be compromised with any country.
I very clearly articulated that our negotiation strategy hinges on national interest. At no point of time will the Modi government ever allow national interest to be compromised. That is a given. That is the pillar on which all negotiations, all discussions, all dialogue with any country in the world is taken forward.
Some sports news now. Indian boys under-16 volleyball team made history by securing a bronze medal at the Asian under-16 volleyball championships. Indian team defeated Japan in a thrilling 5-set match in Nakhon Pathom in Thailand. This marks their first ever medal at the championship in their debut and earning a spot in the Under-17 World Championships. The Indian team also settled the score with Japan, overturning their earlier 1-3 defeat in the classification group stage final by edging past the Japanese side in a dramatic match, leaving them without a medal. Well, that's it in this edition of DD India NewsHour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest updates and news from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. The app is available both on Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR codes you see on your screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Amritpal Singh from my entire team here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India NewsHour.